Hello everyone, and welcome to another homebrew video. Today we will be reviewing the all-new Flash Brewing Kit from MoreBeer. The summer months here in SoCal make brew days really miserable out of my garage, where it can easily get into 110 degrees Fahrenheit or more. Therefore, I rarely brew in the summer months. When I saw MoreBeer's announcement of these new no-boil kits, it really piqued my interest, so I wasted no time in ordering one. A link to that video and the kits are in the description below. They have several styles available. I ended up purchasing the Fresh Pressed India Pale Ale kit, and because it was over $59, it shipped for free. It comes in this nicely packaged box which includes Flash Malt, yeast, 2 different types of hops, 2 hop shot syringes, and the directions. The Flash Malt is 7 pounds of specially dried barley malt extract. The kit also includes a 12-gram pack of Flash yeast, 1 ounce of Yakima Chief's Mosaic Cryo hops, 1 ounce of Yakima Chief Citra hop pellets, and 2 hop shot syringes. Each 8 ml syringe adds 30 IBUs of bitterness for a 5-gallon batch, so this 2-pack should yield about 60 IBUs. The included directions are in full color and nicely laid out. As with most MoreBeer kits, it includes a cutout for the MoreBeer tap handle item D1282. On the flip side, you'll see the brewing instructions, which are pretty straightforward. For this batch, I'll be using one of my 7-gallon SS Brewtech stainless steel conical fermenters. I normally keep 5 to 10 gallons of RO water in my pantry specifically for brewing, so we'll be using that today. I was going to use my oxygen tank and one to oxygenate the wort, but I ended up not using it, and you'll see why a little later. I'll also be using my tilt hydrometer to measure the temperature and gravity throughout the fermentation process. The first thing I did was to wash, rinse, and then sanitize the fermenter using Star San. Then, following the directions, I added 3 gallons of RO water directly to the fermenter. The instructions say to add 3 gallons first, then all the ingredients followed by 2 more gallons of water to help mix it up a bit. Now, I would normally do this outdoors, but it was really hot that day, so I'm doing it in the living room. If you're doing this indoors, be aware of the dust that can kick up when adding the malt. So go slowly. After adding the malt to the 3 gallons of RO water, I added the hop pellets followed by both hop shot syringes. Last but not least, using sanitized scissors, I cut open and added the Flash yeast pack. Then I topped it all off with 2 more gallons of RO water. Now, since I normally have at least 1 gallon of trub or other sediment post-fermentation, I typically bring the fermenter up to 6 gallons in order to yield 5 gallons of beer. Later on, you will see that doing so ended up being too much. Although the instructions say you don't need to stir, there were quite a few chunks, so I took a sanitized whisk to break up all the clumps. Doing this for about a minute does add some oxygen to the mix, therefore I decided to skip using my oxygen tank and wand. Here's the final result. As you can see, the level is quite high, although a good 2 inches is foam. Next, I sanitized the tilt hydrometer and added it to the fermenter. With the sanitized lid securely in place, I installed a sanitized airlock. The entire brewing process took about 30 minutes, and that's because I was filming everything. Honestly, I could knock out the next one in 5 to 10 minutes. Then I added 10 ml of vodka into the airlock. Why vodka? Because if there's any suckback during the cooling process, I'd rather have vodka go into the beer than Star San sanitizer. I placed the fermenter in the pantry, which is located in the center of my house, and so it is the most temperature-stable room of the entire house. At the time of filming the pantry was about 76 degrees Fahrenheit. At this point, the tilt was reporting an original gravity of 1.054. The directions do state that the flash yeast can be in an environment between 65 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit.
Later that night. The next day. Approximately 10 hours later.
Here's the airlock on day 2. Later that day, I realized that the internal temps in the fermenter shot up to 87 degrees, so I wrapped a couple of ice packs to the sides of the fermenter using bungee cords to bring the temps back down to the mid-70s.
Later that same evening. Day 3. Day 4. "24 hours later."
That small red and white box sitting behind the airlock is my Raspberry Pi running the Tilt Pi app, which takes the signal from the tilt hydrometer and sends it up to the cloud via Wi for logging temp and gravity into my brew session over at Brewer's Friend.
One eternity later.
After 2 weeks, the tilt hydrometer was reporting the final gravity was 1.005, whereas my glass hydrometer reported about 1.010. I cold pressed the beer by placing the fermenter into my, I don't know what to call it, my circular firm chamber refrigerator thing. Overnight the temperature dropped from 76 down to 37 degrees, where I then let it sit for about 3 days. On keg day, I placed the fermenter up on my wine fridge, and then let settle for about an hour. For kegging, I use this 3-keg setup to perform an oxygen-free transfer. I insert a Cobra tap into the fermenter, which is connected to my CO2 tank set to around 5 psi. Then I rack the beer into the first keg dip tube, which is currently filled with CO2. That CO2 is then pumped out of the first keg and into a second keg filled with Star San sanitizer. The sanitizer is then pumped out the second keg and into a third keg, which is empty. Once the first keg was full at 5 gallons, I noticed that there was still quite a bit of beer left in the fermenter. I normally end up with a gallon of trub and sediment, which is up the line where the cone meets the body, but as you can see there is only about a half a gallon of trub at the bottom because there was no mashing with so much less sediment. I ended up taking the remaining beer and filled 4 sanitized bottles, then put a sugar pellet into each for bottle conditioning. Total yield was about 5.5 gallons.
1 week later.
After allowing the beer to settle and condition in the keg for about a week, I tapped the keg to give it a try, and you know what? It's not too bad. Now, don't go into this expecting something along the lines of what you buy at the store. Commercial breweries have labs, scientists, tons of research, and they have everything from their recipes to their equipment and process down to a science. That said, I think it's definitely in the acceptable range, but tastes are subjective and therefore your mileage may vary. I'd give this batch a B- rating. Next time I'll use a half gallon less water. Would I buy this kit again? Absolutely, because it sure beats spending 8 hours in a hot garage during these summer months. Also do note that at the time of this video, there are only light colored ales like IPA, a hef, a red, and a blonde. Dark ales like stouts or porters are not yet available. I hope you found this video helpful. If so, don't forget to comment, like, and you know the rest. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.